All right, we are on page 733 of Sri Sarada Devi and her Divine Play. And we're just reading this book together and kind of sharing any inspirations that come out of it. And of course, everybody knows they're welcome to join in anytime to add or question or make a comment. Anything you think is worth saying is fine with me. If you don't think it's worth saying, then don't. All right, we're on the section titled Holy Mother's Bereavement. And we're at that part, I think. I think that's what bereavement means, that we're at that part. So I apologize ahead of time. So it begins, as day and night rotate, so do happiness and misery, laughter and tears, birth and death. Right? I mean, that's the nature of this universe, this world. And it's one of the things that slowly leads us to renunciation. Is just this constant, as much fun as a roller coaster is, after 10 minutes, you're looking forward to getting off. And if you had to do that thing for 30 minutes, you wouldn't be well. And so this world is like that too. If you pay attention, now this world, the paying attention is key. Right? Paying attention is key because you can always be distracted in this world. That's the only power of Maya for us. Well, forgetfulness and projection are the official powers of Maya. But what Maya uses its forgetfulness and projection for is for distraction. All of this, any solution. Page 733, Gita. So whatever solution you're trying to find outside of yourself in Maya, anything you think from outside that's going to fix you is the only power it has is distraction. It cannot heal you. It cannot fix you. Now it can heal a body temporarily, but that's the thing to understand. Everything here will change, first of all, including your body mind. Right? Those things are constantly changing. And so if you sit and pay attention, it would occur to you that if the platform I'm standing on is never steady and is always changing, that whatever direction I launch, I'm going to miss my target, right? Because there's no stability. And that's why the watchword question of our spiritual life in Vedanta is, who am I? What am I? Who is it that wants to know the things that I want to know? Who is it that's on this spiritual search that I seem to be on in this moment? And until you know your nature, which we'll cut to the chase, it's Satchitananda, that's the secret. You are love, wisdom, and being. And if you know yourself to be love, wisdom, and being, then know that anything you do that's based on a sincere love and is based on wisdom, which means not based on body. So it's not the needs or desires of the body that should be your guide, and it's not the needs or desires of your mind that should be your guide. That it's your nature that needs to be an inspiration to you. And that because there's nothing outside of our body that is attractive, or I can't say that it's not attractive, there's nothing outside of ourself that is going to be able to give us anything in this world. We don't live for results. We're not trying to gather or grab anything out there. What we are trying to do is get the body and mind to be quiet, to stop getting our attention, place our attention on attention if you're a Gyani, or place our attention on the presence of the beloved as bhaktas, and live through inspiration, the inspiration of the pure love that we are, the inspiration of the pure wisdom that we contain. And we do that through being, which means we don't plan it. We don't have an agenda. We simply are. And our effort is instilling the ego so that love can express as evenly and equitably as possible and equanimably as possible. That we don't take anything else into consideration but love itself. We don't meter it out like Maya does, where we just give people who we think deserve our love, a certain amount of our love, depending on how much they give us, right? We don't live like that. That's our goal. But even in that goal, we're not the doers, right? So in our practice, we surrender. And so that's the Swami here is saying, As day and night rotate, we're about to watch Holy Mother leave the body at some point here in the next day or two. And, he's just preparing us. This is not sad. This is not unusual. This is life. And as spiritual seekers with honest eyes, we see that everything rotates. Everything in this world cycles round and round and round. Vivekananda says everything goes in circles because it's the only way that God can represent her infinity in the finite is a circle. It's only the circle that has no beginning and no end. So all the planets go in circles, every atom goes in circles, all the galaxies go in circles, and consequently we go in circles. And so we shouldn't get too upset about that. We just accept this. And for us, it's unique. In spiritual life, if you've got your eyes on the beloved, you'll feel like you're going in circles. Like I remember telling Swami Prabhupada that I felt like all my efforts kept going in circles. I always found myself back dealing with my stuff again, like this. And he said, that's because you're looking at it from the worldly perspective. He said, if you turn it sideways and look at it from a spiritual perspective, you see that you're actually moving like that, like a screw. And so you feel like you're going in circles, that you're not getting anywhere. But with each loop, you are just a little bit farther along the path than you were before. So from the world, it looks like we're going in circles, but from spirit, we're moving, spiraling toward the beloved. And so we take faith. Well, we take faith in God either way. It doesn't matter whether you're moving or not. It matters whether you are present or not. If you're present, Mother's bringing you forward. It's her responsibility to bring you forward, to bring you to your enlightenment. And so it's through surrender, through acceptance of her gift of life, of her gift of grace, that we move forward. And all of our practice, that purification involves coming to a place where we can accept infinite grace, right? And you'd think, well, I just take it and run. What's the difficulty there? Well, the difficulty there is to truly accept infinite grace. You're going to have infinite humility. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to take hold of it. There's going to be a part of you that still is going to say, no, I can do this. I got it. And you're going to get in trouble. You're not going to be able to do that. And so we practice to surrender. We practice to trust the ideal of an unconditioned love enough to let go of all of our favorite things and to accept all of our favorite aversions, right? And to know that we can fall backwards off that waterfall and be safe. We don't have to have fear. So that's where we're going. This is the way God has created the world. He does not want human beings to have only happiness or only misery. So they are tossed about by these pairs of opposites. Tossed about, that's true. We're tossed about. It feels like we're throwing ourselves around, right? But it's really the body and mind being tossed about by their own, because they're part of the problem. They're part of the delusion, right? But because we're identified with them, we feel like we're being tossed about. After going through these experiences, people realize that permanent happiness is not possible in this world. It is possible only in God, only in the divine within you. Remember the heart. It's always bring us to the heart, the shrine of your heart. That's the oldest scripture we have, the Rig Veda, says that this body is a temple. It's the temple of the divine, of Satchitananda. And that shrine is here in the heart. And in the heart, there is no change. In the heart, there is that absolute, the divine principle of perfect love, of a perfect wisdom, and perfect existence. No particularity, just that peace that passes understanding. And so we learn to find that place, and from that place, we become witnesses to the changing, knowing that what we're looking at is a constant play of all the different aspects of divine love, all the different aspects of divine wisdom. And only from that perspective can you see the love in every action. Only from that perspective of not body, not mind, can you see that this world is perfect in every moment. And to find every moment perfect is the highest renunciation. So we step forward going through that. Bliss is only infinite, only in the infinite and not in the finite. Right? The human being, then human beings finally turn their minds to the infinite God. Turn their minds to the infinite God. Well, you turn your mind to find God, to study the bottleneck of Maya, which is you. Right? If you go out into the through the senses to find your truth, the problem with that, you'll find lots of lesser truths. You find lots of interesting information, but the problem with going into Maya for your truth is that every question that you answer in Maya brings up five more that you don't have an answer for. Vivekananda says you can take something as simple as a grain of sand off the beach and study it for your entire life. And at the end of your life, you're going to have more questions about that grain of sand than what you started with. And so that's why those seven rishis in the olden days that ran off into the mountains, dedicated to finding what the meaning of life is, they did that at first. They ran out there looking through the senses and they said, "Hey, this isn't working." And so they turned their quest around 180 degrees and they went inside. They said, "Hey, all of my senses meet in here. The bottleneck is in me. Let me go in there." And when they went in there, they found that they were not body mind, and they found that they were a unity, a perfect unity, a unity that was beyond understanding because it was one without a second. So there was no longer a witness, even. There was no longer, and I'll just shut up there. Anything I say beyond that makes me a fool. So I'll just smile and say, good coffee. Please forgive it. If you're new and I'm drinking coffee during your class, please forgive me. It's one of the fun things I have no excuse for it. I'm an awful. Like other human beings, Holy Mother experienced joy and grief. When we observe the mother crying after losing her dear ones, we find consolation and strength in similar situations, thinking of her human aspect. We also understand the teaching of the Gita in 227. Death is certain for the born. Rebirth is certain for the dead. You should not grieve for what is unavoidable. That is a very important truth right there. Do not grieve for what is unavoidable. Right? We've talked about that. And of course, the grieving that she's talking about here, because she's getting ready to take her trip home, is death. Death is as much a part of life as birth is a part of life. And so you see, when you enjoy the birth of someone, you're out of balance. You've got one enjoyment that you've gotten without one disappointment. And so that disappointment, or that grieving, is going to have to come at the end of that birth. Whatever that birth celebrated, the death has to also be celebrated, has to also be accepted. And so we know this, and we learn, hopefully, in our old age, by the end of life, that our friends were not the bodies that we loved, that our relatives were not the bodies that we loved, that our children and our husbands and wives and lovers were not the body that we loved. They were what we felt in the heart when they were there, reflecting that back to us, and they could reflect it back in a special way to us because of our karmas, because of our samskaras, because of who we are. A particular person can reflect God back to us, the light of Satchitananda. They can reflect it better toward us or more clearly toward us. And so when you're with your grandma, you feel that lovely feeling in your heart, you feel that warm love for them. And, when that body's gone, when they die, if you loved the body, then it's only sad when you think of them. But for us, we know that we can think of that body, we can think of that mind, we can think of that person, and we feel them. We feel them here. And the love in this heart was always them. This is the reason we wanted to get together with their body. This was the reason we wanted to see their body, so that we could experience them. But they were always here. They were always in the heart. And that way, when the bodies go and you think of them, you don't look at the body and be sad that they're gone. You look into your own heart and celebrate their presence with you, even still and eternally. That will never go away. right? And so we hold on to that. Love is the only thing you can hold on to in this world because God is that love. That love is immortal. Toward the end of her life, Holy Mother endured the loss of three of her dearest ones: Latu, or Swami Adbhutananda, Ramakrishna Basu, the son of Balaram Basu, and her third brother, Bharata. Holy Mother was very fond of Latu, the master's guileless and unsophisticated disciple, whom she had known since her early days in Dakshineshwar. At that time, the mother was performing all of the household work by herself to ease her burden. Because all of the household work that you're like, well, she didn't have any kids, and Ramakrishna was already being taken care of by the temple, so she wasn't doing all that much. We forget that she had a million children. As we know from reaching toward the end of this book, we've seen how much service she was constantly doing. She had that disciple. Remember that? To me, the highest service that she did, or the one that I learned the most from, was when that devotee came to visit the master like at 10 o'clock at night, right? Nobody's up cooking at 10 o'clock at night. Everybody's ready to wind the day down at 10 p.m. And he walks by the Nahabat where she lived, and he just yells at her, Mother, I'd like 10 chapatis. And he goes in to visit the master. You know, if I were a good Swami, I would make 10 chapatis. I'm afraid I'd throw the bucket of flour at him, though. you know, Make your own chapatis. What do you mean coming here at 10 o'clock and expecting me to get up and make chapatis for you? But that's the Divine Mother. She smiled and pulled out all the stuff and went about making chapatis and a dinner for him. And so this was her family. Thakur told her he saw in her mind that she was longing for children and sort of sad by the fact that she knew she had married a sadhu and that there wouldn't be any children. Although she had dedicated herself to support his spiritual life without exception, there was still a kind of a wistfulness about, oh, have my own children. And Ramakrishna says, oh, don't worry, my beloved. If it's children you want, I will give you children in numbers you cannot count. Right? And so all of us are here, children of the mother. And she is still, I can guarantee it, taking care of you, bringing you forward. You're here because of this. You can remember the name of God because of her grace. She says that. She says, if you find yourself saying your mantra, know that my grace is with you. Right? So every time, that's her love letter to you. Don't forget. Always trust and go forward in that. Mother was performing all of the household work by herself. To ease her burden, the master engaged Latu to help her cook by making dough and cleaning and cutting the vegetables. Many years later, during Holy Mother's last illness in Udbodhan house, imagine that. Actually, I'm just sitting there reading that. Latu, he was the illiterate one, and just the sweetest of hearts, just one of the sweetest of men. And I can just only envision this, that he was sitting there with her, cutting the vegetables. Can you imagine what a delight that would be to be in the kitchen with Holy Mother, doing service to her children, with her, and just she had a wonderful sense of humor. She was always so sweet and always so instructional, and just uplifting to be around. Can you imagine just getting all of that time with her in the kitchen like that? How much that would have been. To ease her burden, the master engaged Latu to help her cook by making dough and cleaning and cutting vegetables. Many years later, so they have many years together doing this. What a relationship, right? And so we have that same opportunity, actually. Every time you cut vegetables for your family, if you can place it in your mind, if you can put Mother's presence in your heart, become aware of it, her presence, then you too can sit there and cut vegetables and make dough and serve love with the presence of the mother in your heart, inspiring you that this possibility has never ended. This possibility is our reality. And this is pure karma yoga, to do work for the bliss of being in the kitchen with the Divine Mother, for the bliss of serving the Divine Mother in her task. Many years later, during Holy Mother's last illness in Udbodhan House, Shantanananda came to visit from Varanasi, where Latu had been staying. Holy Mother asked him and others about Latu, and she was told that he was not well. Latu had developed a small blister on his right ankle that developed into gangrene. Oh my God, that's really bad. The doctors performed surgery, but Latu died. Yeah, it was bad. Wow. Hmm. Latu died on the 24th of April, 1920. Sharadananda forbade everyone from telling Holy Mother of his death, given her critical condition. However, Golap Ma could not keep anything secret. She, now, the more I find and hear about Golap Ma, the more I just love her to death. You know? What a person. What a person. She could be so direct and cantankerous at times, and then so open-hearted and so insightful at different times. You know, and here now we find out she can't keep a secret. When the mother asked about Latu one day, Golap Ma told her Latu passed away 10 days ago. Oh boy, at this, the mother burst into tears. That afternoon, her temperature rose. Ramakrishna Basu was a disciple of Holy Mother, and his family greatly supported the Ramakrishna order. Holy Mother stayed in their house on many occasions, and many monks also lived there from time to time. Ramakrishna Basu fell ill with appendicitis. Though the best doctors treated him, it was of no avail. He died on the 14th of May, 1920. Golap Ma reported this to the mother, and again she cried. Sharadananda wrote this in his diary. Holy Mother's fever rose to 100 degrees. She had a bad night with indigestion and wind, etc., all due to hearing the sad news about Ram. Oh. You read that, that's this message. The message in that is that every step you take toward the beloved takes 16 steps toward you. The mother's love for you is at least 16 times greater. To put a number on that's absurd. But that her love for you is much greater than any longing that we could have for her. And actually, the more that we long for her, the more her love longs in return. And to know that, you know, that's why she tells you in your heart, yours is not to clean yourself up. Yours is not to develop your spiritual life. Yours is to lay in my presence and surrender yourself to me that I may get to work on your realization, so that I can get to work on bringing you forward. You simply be there in my light and ripen like a fruit. Nothing for you to do except to be there in forbearance and patience and let my light ripen you, bring you to your maturity. He died on the 20th of June, 1920. But before Holy Mother learned this, she said to her attendant, "Is Barada gone? I saw him standing near the railing looking at me." She asked Brahmachari Bharata to send more money for her brother's treatment. Sharadananda forbade him to send the money and also forbade him to tell Holy Mother of her brother's death. Observing Bharata's delay, the mother forcefully ordered him to send the money order that very day. Golap Ma then told the mother that her brother had passed away. She cried out and began shaking. Her attendants fanned her and rubbed her eyes and mouth with wet hands. Sharadananda was very concerned. Yoganma consoled her, saying, "Mother, your temperature has been high for the last few days, so Shara did not inform you. He was waiting to tell you when your temperature went down. Brahmachari Bharata sent the 20 rupees to Kishori, Swami Parameshwarananda, for the Shraddha ceremony." The mother cried off and on for a couple of days and asked for some more money to be sent for the Shraddha. These bereavements greatly affected Holy Mother's health. Her condition deteriorated and rapidly. Her temperature rose to 102 degrees during the afternoons, causing a burning sensation and restlessness. She began to say, "Take me to the bank of the Ganges. I shall feel cool there." That's an ominous thing for an unwell person to say, because that's the highest, one of the highest blessings, is to be able to die on the banks of the Ganges in full consciousness like that. Accordingly, Sharadananda began to search for a suitable house near the Ganges in Kasipur or Dakshineshwar. Someone also suggested taking the mother to Varanasi. However, the doctors forbade them from moving her in her present condition. Her attendants then began to bring ice, to cover it with a towel and place her hands on it. This gave her a little bit of relief. Sarajubala's reminiscences. Holy Mother was very fond of and free with Sarajubala. She visited Holy Mother 5 times during her last illness, and she recorded these visits in her reminiscences. Here are some of those excerpts reproduced. The 24th of March, 1920. Holy Mother was extremely unwell, having been in the grip of malarial fever for a long time. I prostrated myself before her, and she blessed me by placing her hand on my head. She asked me how I was. I offered her a little money for her expenses, and she accepted it. At the sight of her emaciated body, I lost all power of speech. I looked at her face wistfully, and I thought, alas, how pale and weak her body is. The mother was so weak that she felt it painful even to utter a word. I was seated on the floor. In the meantime, Rasbihari Maharaj came up and asked me not to talk much with Mother. But the mother now and then asked me about various things, and I gave her short replies. The 30th of March, 1920. I went to pay my respects to Holy Mother after 5 or 6 days. She had no fever for the previous 2 or 3 days, but she was much worried on account of Ratu and her incapacity to look after her little child. The mother lay down on her bed and asked me to rub her feet. While rubbing them, I asked her whether I could speak to her about something, and if it would be if it would inconvenience her. The mother said, "No, not at all. Say what you want to." Just check. I thought I saw somebody coming. No. Okay. All right. No, not at all. Say what you want to. So this is another thing. Anytime Mother talks to these disciples directly like that, she's talking to you directly like that. That it's can you hear the plane flying over? Probably not. It's very loud though. They have these seaplanes that are constantly taking off from the sound up here. They're noisier than a regular plane. So right now I can hardly hear myself talk, so I'm taking a pause until it's gone enough. Okay. Anytime Mother talks to her disciples directly like this, she's talking to me and you. And that she's saying, you always have permission to talk about anything with the Mother. You don't have to clean up your prayers. You don't have to wait until you're in a certain condition before you can approach the Mother. I tell Mother, just like Girish, Ramakrishna told Girish, whenever you sit down to have your first drink of wine to get drunk, he says, offer it to the Mother, which means bring Mother into your life and let Mother be the Mother in the middle of your life, because knowing how she feels about whatever you might be doing is helping you find strength in that. She will keep you true. She won't let you fall in love with things that harm you. And so if you're already in love with things that are harming you, that are causing you to fall and causing you to get stuck in these cycles of life, Mother will come right in the middle of that with you. She never sees the you that you see. You see the you of faults because you're bound to an ego. You're bound to an imperfection. But Mother sees that you that is bound. She doesn't see the imperfection. And it's that pure light, the fact that she is that unbound you. She shares that in common with you, that unbound you. She bonds with that. befriends that, encourages that, and reminds you of that, so that you ultimately get out of that situation in a very natural and loving process. That is her divine nature. She's not concerned like a mother, a mother will change a baby's diaper and not be bothered by it at all. I've seen, YouTube on YouTube, they have these young couples where the father is changing the baby's diaper for the first time. And I don't know, say what you want to say and think what you want to think, but men and women are not put together the same. Mom can love that child and can get dirty with that child and be right there. And in the midst of all that, lean forward right into it and kiss that child on the forehead. The father, when he was doing, he was like, couldn't get anywhere near that baby. And so the Divine Mother, you can bring her right in there, bring her right into your life, right into the squarest, most difficult places and corners of your life that nobody else can see, and you would hope that nobody else does see. And Mother will be there, and she will not judge you for it. She will inspire you out of it. She will inspire you out of it. And we see that in Girish Ghosh, he was a bohemian, he was a drunkard, he was an addict, he was an addict. And Ramakrishna, when he asked Ramakrishna, remember in that movie we watched at the retreat, those who were there, he asked Ramakrishna said, come to me every now and then. And Girish was like, am I going to have to quit drinking? And Ramakrishna, doesn't say, well, yeah, he doesn't say that. He says, no. he says, that is an external thing. Mother will remove that when it's time. Right. And then Girish Ghosh says, well, what am I supposed to do? And Ramakrishna said, eat, drink, and be merry. And think of the mother, and everything will be fine. Because he had given Ramakrishna that power of attorney, right? He had surrendered himself to Ramakrishna. And so, see, this is the way we go forward. We don't pay attention to the sin. That's not the important thing. The important thing is to be who you really are, so that you can see that what you thought you desired is unnecessary. That the answers to your desire are to have the faith in yourself, to the trust that I am that pure love. I'm not the fallen person. I'm not the weak person. I'm not the addicted person. I am divine love. And having Mother in my presence, or being in the presence of Mother, will help you always know that. Always know that. On the 30th of March, 1920, I went to pay my respects to the Mother after 5 or 6 days. She had had no fever the previous 2 days. Oops, I already read them. I asked whether I could speak to her about something and if it would inconvenience her, and the Mother said, no, not at all. Say what you want to. I told her about some experiences I had had, and at this the Mother remarked, oh, my daughter, how can one experience such bliss every day? Everything is real, nothing is untrue. The Master is all. He is Prakriti. He is Purusha. Through him you will achieve everything. Look at that encouragement there. That you read in the Bible in that 1 Corinthians 13 verse, love always hopes, love always believes, love always trusts, love never fails. Right? And Mother is that love. And that presence will remind you that you indeed are that love. Mother, one day while doing japa with great concentration, a long period of time passed quite unobserved. I therefore had to get up and attend to my household duties without carrying out all the other items of spiritual practice that you had instructed me to do. Was it wrong on my part to have done so? Mother, no, no. There is nothing wrong in it. Me, or I. Someone told me that while meditating at the dead of night, he hears a mystic sound. Generally, he experiences it coming from the right side of the body, and sometimes when the mind is working on a lower plane, it comes from the left side. Mother, after thinking for a while. Indeed. The sound comes from the right side. Only when there is body consciousness does it come from the left side. Such things happen when the power of the Kundalini is awakened. The sound that comes from the right side is the real one. In time, the mind itself becomes the guru. To pray to God and meditate on Him for even 2 minutes with full concentration is better than doing so for long hours without it. And that's a very important teaching right there. You know, a lot of us think, oh, to do more in my spiritual life means to add minutes to my meditation, to add numbers to my japam. No, 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 no. It means add quality to what you're doing. Keep adding quality, not quantity. Quality, right? And that means, you have to be friends with your mind. Your mind is your disciple. Your mind is your toddler disciple. And so you have to be patient with that mind. That mind, you can't bend it too quickly, it will break. Right? So you have to be patient with yourself and you keep taking it forward. And you sit there. And so when you're meditating, instead of doing more, just stay with what you're doing and do it better. Do it better. Put your mind deeper into the presence. Put your mind deeper into your sincerity. Put your mind deeper into your earnestness. You know, try, keep that attention with all your might at the feet of the divine in the presence. And do that. And like for me, I was saying last week, it's like and we did this through the retreat. We did just 10 minutes of japam every hour on the hour for the retreat. And, to do that gives you that break in between. And then that 10 minutes, even though it's not that much, that 10 minutes, you can put great quality into it. And I saw by the wonderful atmosphere that was there at the retreat that's very effective. And so in your practice, don't be afraid to move things around and to give yourself a certain, whatever, a practice that you can manage, a practice that encourages you to be free and at the same time encourages you to go deeper, encourages you to be better each time you speak that name. Because Vivekananda says somewhere in the Complete Works that if you are ever able to repeat your mantra perfectly a single time, you will have your realization. All right? And what does it mean to repeat your mantra perfectly a single time? It means to just to hear that name and feel it as your own name. To say that name and be so absorbed, so confident in the quality of non-conditioned love that you remove the boundary between yourself and the presence of your beloved. And so that name, as it comes, is not separate from you. You are in an embrace at that moment. And that name is yours as much as the beloved's. So that's to say your mantra perfectly a single time, to know that unity, to know that oneness, to know that quality of love that binds you so tightly that you are not different. You are not separate. There is nothing you would do that would be separate from the desire of your beloved. To pray to God and to meditate on God for even 2 minutes with full concentration is better than doing so for long hours without it. I did not feel inclined to question the mother on the significance of body consciousness, for the mother wasn't doing well. I was about to leave. Instantly, the mother raised her head from the pillow and said, "Well, my daughter, I've raised my head." She did so because it was not custom for a devotee to bow down to one lying down. When I bowed down, she said, "Come again. Come a little earlier in the evening. Can't you finish your household duties a little earlier and come?" Then, uttering the name of Durga as a prayer for my safety, she bade me adieu. Even after I had come to the veranda, I heard her uttering the name of Durga in a compassionate tone. Oh, oh God, she's on her deathbed. She's dying. And she lifts up her head so that her disciple can bow down to her. And then continues repeating her name, even after repeating Durga's name, even after her disciple leaves the room. Man, in a compassionate tone. What unbounded love. So long as we were with her, we forgot all the sorrows. We forgot all the suffering of worldly life. Undated. The mother's illness showed no signs of improvement. Her body was getting weaker and weaker, and I went to see her one afternoon. She was about to go for her evening wash. She asked me to help her get up. She said, I'm getting a fever very often, and this body has become very weak. She got up with great effort and then said to me, Look, someone has kept a stick near the door. I had been thinking for a few days that if I could get a stick, then I could move myself a little with its support. Look, the master has just supplied this one for me. The mother showed the stick to me. Then she said with a smile, I asked everyone who had left this stick here, but no one could tell me. Yeah, you see, that's that thing. If you're looking for God, you will see God. You know, that's why that practice, to look, to know that the divine has placed little vignettes of beauty all around your world, all around the world, the house you live in, the place you work, the streets you walk along, the bus you ride, the car you sit in. Everywhere, Mother has placed beautiful little vignettes of beauty, a perfect composition, a beautiful color, a wonderful arrangement, a throw of light. And if you're looking for them, you will see them. And you'll be able to feel that encouragement and that presence all the time. If you're not looking for them, you'll walk by 100 of them in a day and forget how much divine love there is around you. And so here, Mother, she finds a stick lying by the door, and her her assumption is Thakur. Heard that Thakur had put that stick there for her. What a beautiful world to live in. Another undated entry. Another day I went and heard the mother's monastic disciples saying, This time when the mother gets well, we won't allow anyone to get initiation from her. Mother, you have all this suffering because you are taking the effects of other people's sin. At this, the mother said with a smile, Why? Did the master come this time to eat only rasgolas? Everyone was speechless. Mother, how wonderfully you expressed your compassion through these few words, right? It's like, did I just come here to eat the good stuff? Did I just come here to enjoy your devotion? Did I come here just to sit here and have fun with each other, right? She's like, no, I came here to take all of you. I came here to take everything that you're carrying. And I am giving up my body because I have to burn your karma. But I came for this. This does not make me unhappy. This is my point and my purpose. On the 14th of April, 1920, the evening arati was playing in the shrine. It was finished. The mother was feverish. Ras Bahari Maharaj was rubbing her hands, and Brahmachari Bharata was rubbing her feet. They were taking her temperature, and the mother was lying with her eyes closed. I stood by her side. Once the mother asked, Who is there? Ras Bahari Maharaj replied to her in a low voice, Sharaju is here. I heard that the temperature was 100.1. Sister Sudhira was giving a treat to the girls of Nivedita school, as it was the Bengali New Year's Day. Shalala, the disciple who was attending the mother, had gone to the school. The mother asked Brahmachari Bharata to bring Shalala back, for she had to feed Radhu's child. It was not yet time to feed the child, but as he was crying, Radhu wanted to feed him just then. The mother tried to dissuade her. This only enraged Radhu, who began to abuse the mother. Oh my God. She said, May you die, and I shall light your funeral pyre. We were deeply pained to hear this. The mother was so badly ill, and Radhu was abusing her in such a fashion at that time. Radhu, however, went on shouting out many more abusive words. Such conduct on her part was seen quite frequently. The mother, who had unbounded patience, had put up with such behavior on every occasion. But this time, because of her protracted illness, she got annoyed and remarked, You will realize the consequences of your words later. What a sad plight you will be in after my death. You will understand. I do not know how many kicks and thrashings with your broomsticks are in store for you. Today is the first day of the year. I sincerely wish that you may die first, and that I shall follow you with a peaceful mind. At this, Radu became still more irritated and abusive. After a while, Shalalamu arrived and fed the child. The experience of that day cast a gloom over my mind. The mother said to me, "Fan me, my child. Radu's torment is burning my whole body." Then she asked me to rub her feet. Meanwhile, Rasbahari Maharaj entered and began to drop the mosquito curtain. So I took leave of her, and the mother said by way of bidding farewell, "Come." This was the last command and the last word that I heard from her. Let's see. During the mother's last illness, my husband used to visit her every day, and one day he said to her, "Mother, will you not give me something?" She asked him to call on Sharat Maharaj. When Sharat Maharaj arrived, she asked him to bring scissors. When he brought the scissors, the mother took them and cut a few hairs from her head. She then said to Sharat Maharaj, "There is an empty casket in that niche. Please bring it to me." When Maharaj brought the little box to her, she put those hairs in it. She handed it over to my husband and said, "This container is a Siddha Yantra, holy and auspicious. You can worship all gods and goddesses on it. There is no necessity to perform worship with pomp. The worship should be sattvic. Repeat your Ishta mantra and give a bath to the container with Ganges water. If that is not available, then use the tap water." We had got to do that in the camp. That first puja we did in the morning, we didn't have any perfume for the puja, so we used some lavender scented hand sanitizer, and I didn't have any Ganges water because the bag for the pujas came the next morning. And so I just went and got some tap water out of the sink, and then I just put it in front of Thakur. I said, "Thakur, make this Ganges water for us." Right? And so then we used that. And while I was doing the puja, I just laughed out loud. I was like, "Well, it looks like we're having a camp puja this morning, Thakur." But mother is just evidence to this. Mother knows. Perform. Mother knows. My husband took the container on his head and came home barefooted. According to the mother's, wow, it's beautiful. I tried to just read that. That was amazing. The container on his head and came home barefoot because he considered it such a holy thing that the ground he would walk on with that container on his head was holy, was a temple to him. This is how we make the whole world a temple, by putting Mother in our head, in our mind, that constant presence. And we walk in this world with bare feet because it is a temple when we learn to live that way. My husband took the container on his head and came home barefoot. According to the mother's instruction, he worshipped that holy container all through his life. The mother told me and my husband, "Those who have taken refuge in the Master will never suffer from lack of plain food and clothing." My body bears witness. This Siddha Yantra of the mother is the refuge of our family. The mother and the master provided not only for our food and for our clothing, but also took responsibility for our spiritual life. All right, we'll end there. Turn off the recorder.